Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is Ian Blackburn. It's time for Zoom into Wine. It's 7 o'clock on Wednesday, or maybe it's a few minutes past 7. The internet has not been very kind today. Took a few swipes at getting this thing up and running today, so we're apologizing for being a little bit delayed. But we have a fantastic show tonight. We're talking about the Rhone Valley, and I really love the wines that we picked out for this evening. I hope you guys do as well. Let's get right into it. And then we'll spend a minute talking about all things. The Rhone Valley, I'm not sure how many of you have been there, but it is a really dramatic place to visit. Screen to show little baby Yoda back there. Better. And there's so much history, so much reverence for some of the regions, but it's a pretty hard-working area. And the evolution of wine, we've seen, better and better wine quality. And so, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Forgot about that. This is Ian Blackburn. It's time for Zoom into Wine. It's 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Gotta mute that out. Sorry about that. Only done this 5 years in a row, but the YouTube thing is a little new to me, and I'm still working that through. We used to put it on Facebook, and Facebook doesn't like us talking about wine. So that is why we are on YouTube. All right. Like I said, the internet has just been a little bit tough on me today. I'm working really hard. So I can't wait to taste the first wine of the day. And this is Chateau Presky is a fantastic producer. I think you're going to love. They're from Ventoux, and this is the Terraces Blanc 22. Actually had the winemaker in my office just a couple of months ago, and this is a really top offering. In fact, I want to show you a little better map. I think I've got that up here. Yeah. So we'll go into this map here, and we'll look at where Ventoux is. It's Mount Ventoux, and we can kind of back out from here and see the lay of the land. It's really kind of a cool way to look at the entirety of it. Um, Trying to find a really great landmark for you, but it's not popping out like I thought it would. Let me see. Show you on the little map that I have here. We're down in here, right on the backside of Vacara, I believe. Um, and Avignon is the major city, so I was hoping to see that pop up. Give me Avignon. There it is. Okay, there's Avignon. And there is kind of the Mount Ventoux and the Ventoux region that surrounds it. Go back in. This is the highest elevation in uh, in the Rhone Valley. And so that is significant for that right there. There are a growing number of producers in this area. It doesn't have a long storied appellation type thing. This is a Vaucluse right here. You can see Vaucluse. And this is where these wineries are in these hilly sides. And so this makes it a particularly interesting spot that's developing its own reputation. And there are a couple of producers that I carry here, like Shen Blue, that's a neighbor that carries Vaucluse appellation. And so it is fantastic to get to know some of these small teeny producers, have them come and visit us and taste with them and to learn about what's going on. They have 250 acres of vines, and these guys have been making really great values from the Rhone Valley for a long time. The family's growing, the brothers are working together now, and dad is kind of now in retirement. And the wine that we're tasting today is a nice little white Rhone blend with Rhone varieties like Viognier, Grenache Blanc, I'm sorry, Rousson, and Clairier. And white Rhones have been kind of lighting up the sky for the last year. I've been selling an increasing amount of white wines. I actually think it's part of what people haven't really been talking about too much, but I have been expecting it to come for a while. We saw the world drinking lots of red, and I'm sure all of you still have friends and family members that are like, I still only really like red wine. But that pendulum has really started to swing back the other way, and white wines have really become much more important. And I believe that white wine is really taking back some share. I think white wines are so food friendly. Seafood, chicken, Mediterranean, Chinese, Asian. There's so much you can eat with white wines, whereas red really requires a pretty big protein or just someone who loves red wine. And I think white wine is really taking back a good share of the marketplace. There's fewer allergens in white wines. Red wines do tend to impact people's senses a little bit more. So I think there's some benefit there. Hippocrates 5,000 years ago said, drink red wine for your heart and white wine for your liver. And all we need is 60 minutes to do a special like they did on the benefits of red wine and like heart disease and blood health. We need 60 minutes to revisit that and talk about the benefits of white wine and maybe the benefits to your liver. I think that would cause the next boom. These Rhone varieties are typically aromatic, like Viognier, but even Grenache Blanc can have some wonderful white floral characteristics, some honey, um, and Rousson uh, can be of quite an interesting wine on its own. Um, can age really well, can be very interesting. Clairier is another interesting one because you don't see many 100% Clairier wines. So it's often blended in. And in fact, a lot of producers blend it into red. I mean, all these grape varieties get blended into the red wines too. They often do use red and whites, especially in a wine like Chateauneuf de Pape that can have 13 different grape varieties, red and white, blended together. This is an area where blends kind of rule, and this is a wine that makes sense. This is just a super little value wine. There's the brothers. They're making beautiful wine together. They're, leaning on the shoulders of giants and also their fathers. Great investment and leadership. There's the mount back there. They get the benefits of that, more diurnal range, a little bit of protection, but they still have the Mistrals and all the classic things that happen in their own valley, the weather, the stones, the galets. 20 bucks, 18.95. Just a real nice little white wine value. I think it drinks really well at that price point. I'm not saying this is a wine that's 20 bucks that tastes like it's 100. It doesn't. It's just a really nice white wine for $20. Floral, pretty, balanced, not too ripe, not too exotic. There's no wood on this wine. Just really a fun wine to taste. I hope you guys enjoy it. I could drink this all night long. Thomas, I'm so happy that you're here tonight, because this should be in your lane.
It very much is. I like this one a lot.
Cool.
I was actually expecting you to have, I was delighted, being more of a red wine drinker myself. I'm actually happy with the mix tonight, but I was kind of expecting you to do two or three white Rhones. Um, but it's all good.
Yeah, I could have. And there'll be other moments. My white Rhone selection is getting more interesting. I've been, saying this for a while as well. There's fewer restaurants buying really top high-end stuff, and I'm really happy to carry it. It is, harder on the budget, but I have a really interesting set of top stuff in the Rhone, in the white department, and the reds. But the white department, I've gotten some really very hard to get wines, wines like Eve's Gangloff, and those are over $100 a bottle, and they would punish my cost on the Zoom, so I have to figure out where I'm going to put the dollars. But I do feel very good about this producer. And I carry three different cuvées. I probably could carry them all. They're very, very good at what they do, and they over deliver because of their appellation and the lack of, expensive names. And the fact that they own the land and they can put this wine in the bottle at this price and be profitable. It's a heck of a lot better than making wine like this and selling it to a cooperative and getting paid to have it all blended into somebody else's Côte de Rhone, which is often what a lot of these producers in the Rhone had to do. And that's why we're learning about all these new Rhone appellations, because a lot of them started to pull back their fruit and keep it and make better wine for themselves. It requires a little bit more capital. It requires a little longer vision, because it does, take some serious investment, and it's hard to gather that strength. But little by little, it's happening, and we're seeing a lot of interesting new appellations. So let's get back into the slideshow and see what's next. We're going to go to a Côte de Rhone wine. This one is made not at a cooperative, but by a producer named Pierre Gaillard, who is one of the notable, famous names that you can count on in the Northern Rhone. Now, there are Côte de Rhone villages in the north and the south of the Rhone Valley. And what we're going to taste today is the 2021. And something to appreciate, that little white that we just had was 22. 22 and 20 are very similar vintages, warm, dry, pretty extravagant, and pretty ripe. 21 is really different because 21 was a cooler vintage, and it even had some problems such as frost and hail, which really cut back the amount of fruit in 2021. And stylistically, this is a cooler vintage. And while some people really love that gregarious, out of the popping out of the glass type of a character, 21 is much more restrained, elegant, higher acidity, longer living. It's got all the kind of the quality things that the French guys love in their wines. But New World reviewers tend to punish vintages like 21. Gaillard is located up in the northern Rhone, and the true source of all of the fruit for here is unknown. But I believe that this is a combination of wines that he's buying from Côte de Rhone village villages. So there's villages that are rated for Côte de Rhone. And then you can take some of your better fruit and blend it down. The French call it repli. can blend it down into a Cote de Rhone. And this is where he can get even more creative because he makes quite a few wines in the Northern Rhone appellation. Check out the home of Pierre Gaillard. Look at that hillside. If that doesn't scream high quality, hand picked, low yield, look at that, all mono. They're growing on like this is very modern, one cane type of training and just pretty, it's a statement right there. And you can see that soil and the kind of the way this all the fruit is growing on a hillside, steeper, slopier soils. This wine is 70% Grenache and 30 Syrah. The really cool feature on this is the label, which may be on now that I've blown it up, a little hard to see, but I will show you. I think I've got it on the website in the next slide, so we're going to go there. Grenache is a really, I think, taking some huge share in people's interest in wine. It is kind of softer and more tender, kind of like a Pinot Noir until you get to the tannins. So we kind of describe it as like drinking Pinot with muscles. It's got some power and some oomph, and uh, it is the grape of the south of the Rhone, whereas Syrah is the grape of the north of the Rhone. Here's a picture of Pierre Gaillard. And this little wine did get a nice score of 91 points. And at its price point, this is a really nice value. And I think you can see the label a little bit better, but there's a picture on the bottle. Maybe if I go off screen, let me stop share and see if you can see it better. Yeah, that's better. And it was a photo taken after World War II. And the young French girl wearing a little cape goes up to a US soldier who's walking by and hands him a bottle of wine and thanks them for their service. And this is a kind of why I carry this wine. It's called Operation Dragoon, and it's an American soldier receives a gift from a girl in southern France, 1944, U.S. Army Center of Military History. And there's a little story about that day on the bottle. And this blend of 70 Grenache and 30 Syrah is homage to all those people who liberated the Rhone Valley, um, bringing peace back to the world. We have a number of holidays throughout the year that we celebrate our country, our military, and this is just a really nice little bottle for one of those little occasions. And so I've carried it for several vintages and continue to kind of I'm a little bit of a geek for Pierre Gaillard, so I carry a number of his wines. I try not to carry more than like two wines from any one producer. So it's usually this and something else from Gaillard. Fanboy, that's what they call me. Grenache, and when it's done like in the hands of Pierre Gaillard, is very savory. You get that leafiness, that olive, that tomato plant kind of aroma. I do really like this wine at this price point. You're gonna like it too. It's actually it's great on when I opened it on Monday. It's even better today. I say that a lot about a lot of wines. I love our little decanters. and how they make the wines just, slowly open. And this is showing it off its stuff. Not powerful, got some really good balance, some really nice. The Grenache is kind of the pretty, softer, more forward character, and the Syrah kind of comes in and gives it a little bit of attitude on the finish, a little structure and power. I'm guessing because that's how that I would describe that. I did just buy some more 21, so the screen says I have six, but I think I have quite a bit. 27. I buy this about 36, 3 cases at a time. See how the internet's just taking its time, giving me the picture. It's been that kind of day. 23.95 is the price for this bottle, and that's a lot of wine for 24 bucks. Sandra, what do you think of that? Not yours. You're out. Richard, is that working for you? Let's see if I can ask you to unmute right there.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it much. I think I'm liking the next wine a little better, which I think is going to be all Syrah, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to get a little bit more expensive, a little better. Peter, work, your hands up. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Ian. So great to hear your voice and see your show again. Thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. I just wanted to say about the first two wines. So first of all, the Grenache Blanc, the first thing that comes to mind is what the late Chris Curran did when she did hers from 2003. And
Just just
I
tasted
just got a lot.
Grenache Blanc like 2 days ago, Peter.
It was just amazing. Our last bottle was 2003. That was our first vintage. We actually had it with her and Bruno in our house, and I'll never forget that. And there's a lot of the memories of that I got out of the first one. It was delicious.
Yeah.
And this one, you know how much we love Grenache and Syrah. I think it's delicious. And these two wines are, in my mind, just excellent examples of how much value you can get out of buying wines from Europe. I know I'm stepping on my own toes here, but great choices.
Peter is a very accomplished winemaker in Santa Barbara and a leading specialist in organic and biodynamic grape growing in Santa Barbara. And Peter, I heard a rumor, and I think it's more than a rumor. You sold your vineyard, but you're maintaining your brand.
You are one of the few people that really understood what happened. Rebecca is sitting next to me. We actually now live in a house in Los Alamos where we moved to. And outside our window, we look, when it's light, we look at a vineyard called Portico Hills that we don't farm. And we're happy with that.
But we still make wine.
Good, good, good. Good, good. And it's called Ampelos. And Peter's that I'm very fortunate to have Peter as a guest every once in a while on the program, and he participates actively with us, and we really appreciate the support, Peter. Thank you. We're going to move into wine number 3 unless anybody has any other questions. Here we go. I love your honesty too, Sandra, even if it hurts my soul sometimes. Chateau de Saint Consommé is a great producer of merit. We're going to taste one of their, I don't know, every year I buy a couple of wines from this producer as well. It's hard to not want to buy them all because they are so good at what they do. This is Gingondas. And honestly, maybe for our palates tonight, a few more dollars will net a much bigger wine. Gingondas is in and around Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and you can see Châteauneuf-du-Pape here, and let me just I don't see it highlighted here on my map, but I think it's right there. And Jingo Das is uh, what we're going to be tasting here, but one of 12 different appellated wines this winery makes. They do make quite a few different parts of the Rhone Valley. So they're a sizable producer of merit. They got great distribution. You know, the one thing that kind of I always ask about these Rhone wines is why we're not seeing these poured more in steakhouses and great restaurants. Most of the Rhone wines are sold through retail stores, and I'd love to go to a great restaurant and see them offer something like a Jingon Das by the glass. Often, if they do, they go for the lower price point, $15, kind of by the glass Cote de Rhone. And I think the region suffers a little bit from that. But this is a great look at the area of Jingondas and what you're going to see throughout the Rhone Valley are these incredible exposures, loving the the all the horticulture here and the plants and the vines and the hillside and the slope and the direction of the vineyards, and you can see the intensity of that soil. Just really cool. This is actually, to your point, Richard, this is 70 Grenache, 15 Mourvèdre, 14 Syrah, and one Cinsault. I honestly was a little surprised by that blend when I tasted it. They do tend to get a lot of wine out of these grape varieties, and I thought, Syrah, this is a southern appellated wine, but it's got the color and it's got the richness, and they really lean into that peppery herbs and spice character. Cinsault is another Rhone variety. I think that in total there's like between 33 and 34, maybe there's 35 now Rhone varieties. So there's a lot. There's 13 that you can use in a Chateauneuf de Pape. This one got 94 points by James Suckling, and he describes it. One of my favorite words that he uses is precise, because this is like textbook Gingondas, textured and lively with aromas of wild berries, blackberries, dried thyme, bay leaves, baking spices, dried flowers on the nose. Sandra, is this one better for you? Much? Yeah. Okay, good. Just wanted to check in, make sure I wasn't.
Hey, Ian, I got a question.
Yeah, Peter.
So the one I'm drinking here, the Saint Cosme, it says Saint Joseph.
You know what? The one I'm drinking says Saint Joseph also.
Okay.
Uh, I don't mean to confuse you, but I'm confused. Um, I'm not sure why my slideshow says Gingondas. Let me see.
Because isn't it Saint Joseph mostly Syrah?
Yeah, I haven't put it in my mouth yet. Let me just see what's going on.
Because both Rebecca and
Mine
I
is
would
the
say
San
Syrah.
Josef as well, Ian.
Cool. So at least we're consistent in the mistake. It's not like one person got the wrong bottle. Let me just see what we promised, because maybe my designer just grabbed the wrong wine.
And I would rather drink a Saint Joseph than a Gigondas anyway.
Okay, well, that gives us something better to talk about. And I think it's a little bit more money too. So let's just see what we said. How slow things are. Is everybody else's internet? At least the Zoom's working. I think it's Shopify.
It's because the Dodgers won the World Series. It's
Yeah,
punishment.
blame them for everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Hallelujah.
it does say Jingo Das is supposed to be on the Zoom. My team pulled the Saint Joseph. So I apologize, but
It's
I
delicious.
did not catch it. So let's talk about Saint Joseph. And we can roll with this. This is not the worst mistake. It's not that much more expensive, right? Let's see. So we're going to be in the northern Rhone.
So you're saying this is a Syrah then?
Yeah,
Not
you got it right.
all right. That makes me feel better.
I'm sitting here talking. I'm just talking, reading through my slideshow. Didn't notice that the bottle was different. I told you I bought a couple of these wines, and that's what happens when you do that. And if we had 6 of them, imagine the mistakes we would make. Okay. Give me Rhone. Come on.
It's a great wine, Ian.
Yes. Same producer, same story, but we are in the north. And here it comes. I'm getting warmer. There it is. There's the Jingle Das at 60. Jingle Das was 65. Huh. Here's another way to do it because it's taking too long. Sorry, guys. Uh-oh. It went the other way on us, guys. Actually got less expensive.
So we get a discount.
You get a discount. I'm going to send each of you a $1.25 coupon code because this wine is $46, not 64. Did still get the 94-point score, so we got that point right, but we're in the wrong part of the Rhone Valley. So
It's delicious. And it's 100% Syrah. I love it.
100% is as required to be called a Saint Joseph. We do have 12 bottles of this wine in stock. I'm wondering how we did that. Okay, I apologize, guys. Sorry about that. Did not catch it. And we don't make a lot of mistakes, but when we do, it could have been much worse.
So
Go for it, Peter. So we're in Saint Joseph, and I'm going to show you on the map where that is. I can do that easily on the map that we were looking at earlier. Come on, cooperate with me. It's not. Internet gods and my brain are not going well. So give me 1 second. I'll pull up the slideshow again. Here we go. There we go. So you're in between basically the north white country up here, Viognier land and Hermitage and Saint Joseph. And this area is really rough. It's steep, it's rocky, and not as inhabited as down here in Avignon. You've got the river, and some people even use the river to commute from the south up into the north. Everybody see my screen okay and see Saint Joseph right here? I'm going to just do one more thing. I want to show you the hillsides of Saint Joseph.
So where's Côte Rôtie?
Côte Rôtie, also right there. So you're basically in between Côte Rôtie and Hermitage. Hillsides of we go. You can see some of these photos. I'll click through here, just a couple. Super, super rough. You know, you get a workout. And it's very similar. You could see here, maybe Saint Joseph. Nope. Let's go here. Looks reasonable. There you go. There's Corotis at the very far north part of the Rhone Valley. Condrieu right below it. The one Chateau Gruyere with its own appellation. Then you get into Saint Joseph, and there's Hermitage and Crozes Hermitage. And this is the north, basically.
I don't think you're showing anything in.
Sucks. Let me do that again. Côte-Rôtie, Condrieu, Chateaubriand, Saint-Joseph, Hermitage, Crozes Hermitage, Cornas, Saint-Péray. These are all really Syrah, exclusively Syrah. They really do not blend. The only blend you're going to get is in Côte-Rôtie, where they blend white and red grapes variety together during fermentation, called co-fermentation, Syrah and Viognier. But everything else is mono-varietal, dedicated to their steep hillsides. Down here in the south is where you're going to blend. And most of it's based in Grenache and then a little Syrah. And in fact, 30 years ago, there was hardly any Syrah in the South. Nobody wanted to confuse things, but Syrah started to grow a little better in the South, and it obviously was getting more dollars involved. So Syrah continues to take some share of the Southern appellations. Thank you, wine scholars, for letting me use your map. Okay, we'll go back into our Zoom. This little map didn't really show it off well enough. We'll go to our next wine. I want to taste this with you because I haven't even tasted it yet. We know we don't have the Gingodas. We have the Saint Joseph. 2022 is the vintage. So my process is on Monday. We have the bottles up here and we open them, taste them as a team, checking for flaws, putting the wines in order. And none of us noticed that this was the wrong wine. So That's when I should have noticed it. There is a little bit of a kind of a gaminess in the nose. That fruit is really kind of restrained. It's grown in very steep clay hillsides, not quite as stony, a little bit more moisture involved in the north because of the hills, a little less wind in the north, a lot more wind in the south. They call them the Mistrals. That is beautiful. And what James says on this one, robust, well built, focused red with aromas of dark cherries, sweet berries, wild herbs, baking spices on the nose. Dunnick between 92 and 95 as well. Peter, have you ever heard of Serene? It is the ancient version of Syrah. So
What? Say that again. What is serene?
100% Serene, an ancient and local variety of Syrah.
Oh,
So it is a native Syrah. Um, maybe it's I think clones probably came from it rather than it came from a clone.
so I was just going to ask you, is that a different clone of Syrah than the clones we talk about here in California?
Yeah, I think some people bring, say they have Hermitage, right? What kind of clones do you work with? Do you know?
I work with a 383, 470 Estrella River. I've worked with 99 in the past.
Okay. So Estrella clone and what was the 373?
383 and 470, 470. Yeah, 470 is awesome.
Let's see if I can do Syrah clones. UC Davis. So if you've never done any look deeper into this material, you can see there are going to be a large number, and they give each of the Syrahs a different number. And then they can even tell you like where that Syrah clone is found. Sometimes there's Australia. Here's some Albin clone, number 36. You said 4.
470, you got it right there. It's
Yeah, look at that.
fantastic. And it's funny with the Albin clones, right? John Albin, those are the ones that we called Samsonite clones because they came over in a suitcase.
Yeah. You weren't supposed to do it, but they didn't have they had slap the wrist type of stuff happening. And so people were bringing back cuttings from famous spots. And what you do is you look for the most beautiful vine in the vineyard, and you take a cutting from that. That's called meso selection. And then you propagate that vine. And that's how most of California was planted. Cool. Well, we take lemons and turn them into lemonade around here. I hope you guys didn't mind tasting a slightly different wine tonight, but great producer, great result. We jumped straight from Grenache to Syrah in a little bit more assertive way than I meant to. But now we'll return to our regularly scheduled broadcast, which includes a commercial. I'm going to Ojai the Saturday the 15th, actually. We're taking a day trip to Ojai. There's a choice to drive with me from downtown LA or to meet me there. And we've got a really fun day. You can read all about it on the website, learnaboutwine.com. We're also promoting other trips right now. In fact, I should have added Napa back in. We did have a cancellation. Unfortunately, one of our guys just got hired in a great new job and he needs to be here. So we're going to open his tickets back up at the end of January. Two tickets to Napa Valley in January. It's the last weekend of January. Then the last weekend of February, we're going to Oregon. April, Sardinia. October, Paris and Champagne, and then London and Kent. And November will be New Zealand. Tomorrow night, I'm doing a absolutely almost obnoxious dinner at Providence because it's only the greatest wines that were ever made. One of the benchmarks is going to be the 49 Chateau Latour that we're opening, 55 Cune Grand Reserva Rioja, Salon 2002 Champagne. I have 2 spots for the dinner if anybody wants to come and join me. We move into wine number 4. And this is why I didn't catch it, because we had Domaine Corbis, who we've had on our Zoom before, and we were going to show a higher tier Saint Joseph. And so I thought, okay, yeah, that makes sense. We're going from Côte d'Aron to Saint Joseph to a higher tier Saint Joseph. So can everybody see the screen that with Domaine Corbis? My screen says you're there. I just want to make sure you are. It's a 96 pointer. It's also a 2020 wine. So it's got a little bit more time in the bottle and it costs a few more dollars. So this is Robert Parker was instrumental in pointing these guys out to the world. And these guys have a much more modern twist, whereas Sun Consomme is much more classic, kinda. Um, more at least more classic compared to Corbius or Corbis. This is a single plot. Le Côte Sud, brought in by teeny importer. Check out that hillside. I mean, people probably tumbled down that hillside while picking these grapes. Really steep, really severe. 100% Syrah. The nose here is going to go in a radical direction. There's nothing that this producer makes that isn't like on the extreme side of the appellation in a good way. Super high quality. They're pushing things into a ripeness and a richness and a almost a I don't want to say candied because that would mean overripe or oversweet. I'll let you decide where you like your wines a little bit more in the that earth classic style or something that's a little bit more modern that's really got impeccable wine making involved.
It's really interesting trying those two Saint Joseph next to each other.
Yeah.
Because I think, like you just said very well, is that what we got right now, the Kobe, is much more polished. I think it might have a little bit more oak, but I think the Cosme is much more rustic, much more authentic for me. I like it better.
And you prefer it, Peter?
Definitely the Saint Cosme.
Yeah. Yeah, this is always the case, right? There's always somebody in town that's representing kind of the heritage of the place. And then these guys come in with a much more modern look on things, even their building, and do something that's pretty flashy.
We were off the microphone. Rebecca was saying her bases and floral for the Saint Cosme.
Beautiful. Yeah. Where this one's really got that almost blue kind of baked fruit. Uh, it's, I mean, my mouth waters smelling this wine, but it's definitely got that color has there's shades of purple that we jumped right over between the San Consomme and this one here. Most of the wines this house makes are getting really close to $100 a bottle. This is Saint Joseph is kind of the value of the North. It is, you know, got the, I mean, this in Cornas, I think Cornas is more expensive than Saint Joseph. Um, and so it's kind of like Culver City versus Bel Air. It's kind of got just a little different reputation. These guys are exploiting some great sites and making some amazing stuff and getting some really big rewards from the press. Love to get your feedback and see if you can pick which one you preferred. Peter, I know where you're at. Hold up a finger, one or two. William, you like the first one. Thomas, one or two for you.
I am going to say that I like both of these wines, but the the San Jose just kept getting better and better in the glass as it opened up, and really a wonderful, uh, I guess, traditional wine. Both of these are excellent, though. So I'm waffling. Sorry about
Hey,
that.
that's okay. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm often asked about favorites, and I'm often saying, and I don't really like to say favorite because they both kind of have a different purpose. I would love to be at a dinner party where we start with the San Consomme and we finish with the the Corbis or Corbis.
With these wines, Ian, I keep thinking about like Italian cuts of beef. I don't know why, but that keeps striking me as really good matches potentially. You know what I mean?
Like a giant like Florentine steak
Yeah,
Florentine.
a bistecca Fiorentina,
Yeah.
that type of thing, and it's like a little bit out of region and all that kind of stuff. But that's what I'm getting with these.
Yeah, there's regionally um the Rhone certainly dishes like beef stews, beef bourguignon is kind of probably pretty classic. There's
Mm.
lots of things with like beans and cassoulet and things
Mm.
like that. Um, I've had quite a few chefs do lamb with this type of dish. I think lamb and Syrah are awesome. Also Pinot, of course, Peter, right?
Of course.
Of course. All right. Well, we'll continue to climb the food chain, hopefully with fewer surprises, but let's go to an absolutely fantastic Chateauneuf de Pop. First, a confession. The first wine that I ever had that made me go wow was Chateauneuf de Pop. Maybe it was the name, maybe it was the bottle. I don't know what it was about it. No, I know what it was about it. It was freaking great. I didn't realize how great it was until I like started telling people that, oh, I just had this great Chateauneuf de Pop. This was back in the early 90s. I had just finished cooking school, culinary school. I did that contiguous with my degree in hotel and restaurant management, thinking I was going to work in the kitchens and be involved in owning a restaurant someday or something like that. Had no idea about wine though. I really didn't. I was just turning 21 and I got invited to go to the Napa Valley with a bunch of wine collectors and they brought the goods. They brought some serious stuff and each day was a different theme. These were not your casual type of wine collectors. We were talking about each one of them probably bought $10,000 worth of collectibles, and we drank them all. There were six of them, two of us going with them. One of us drove, one of us cooked. I was the cook, and we occupied different guest houses and um, had the time of our lives. And that's when I really fell in love with wine. And the Chateauneuf-du-Pape was Chateau Reyes, which is almost embarrassed to say it now because it's such an expensive bottle of wine. But it was the wine that I mean, I had no training. I didn't understand how much it cost. I just tasted it and it flipped me out. I was like, whoa. And that showed me this incredible potential. And so I really have a great appreciation for Chateauneuf-du-Pape from various angles. I went to work for a number of different brands, and this is a cool one. 2022, we're outside of Avignon in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. The Pope blessed this land in the 1400s. He was eventual popes that replaced the first pope was really apparently quite great and people loved the Pope. And then sequential popes got worse and worse, and there was some really bad popes, and they burnt the Pope out of town. They burnt down the Pope's castle, and it stands still above Avignon as a reminder to future popes to take good care of people and to be nice. Veronique Marais makes this wine. Eugene Marais bought the property in 1912. 16.
Do you know the blend of the grapes in this?
Yeah, we'll get there in just a second. So Veronique took over the winemaking in 2007, and she has been elevating this house ever since. Very classic. This is what you're going to find in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. It's kind of like they live there, they work there. It's a living, working property, and a lot of wineries around the world have a lot in common with this hardworking Shay. 95 Grenache, 5 Mourvèdre.
Mm.
Licorice, dark fruits, balsamic notes.
Isn't it unusual only to use two varietals for Chateauneuf-du-Pape?
Well, Reyes is 100% Grenache. So um, no, not unusual. I'd say what is interesting about Chateauneuf-du-Pape is the incredible diversity in what choices people make. Some of the most famous Chateauneuf-du-Papes are dominated by Mourvèdre. Some of the most expensive as well. Beaucastel, homage to Beaucastel, which is $500 a bottle, 100% Mourvèdre, or
Wow.
dominated by Mourvèdre at least. So Mourvèdre, young grapes tend to be gamey. You can see that word there. Mourvèdre, typically the M in the GSM, but here it's just a GM. That that nose is so cool. Little balsamic, little, natural winemaking here, talking about indigenous yeast.
Yeah.
Yes, go
Uh,
ahead.
Curious, it seems to me there's been a trend of doing less and less whites in the Chateauneuf pops. Is that just a misconception I have, or is there actually a trend that way?
I carry, if you look at all the Chateauneuf pops I carry, and it is a category that you can get lost in. Uh, as much as I love Chateauneuf de Pop, it isn't the world's fastest selling category. So I usually carry, a spread of price points, but I only have one in each price point. And so if you look at the different ones that we have, they each have a really different approach in their blending. And it's not about price, it's just about the philosophy of the house. And there are quite a few houses that still use the white varietal. I would say, though, that due to the interdependence that some of these producers have on big scores, there probably is kind of a leaning towards using just the big red varietals to make it a little bit more focused. And um, this isn't a part of the Rhone where they do co-fermentations. They harvest at different times because the grapes are different and they ripen at different moments. This is Chateauneuf de Pop is covered in galets. Those are round rocks. The Rhone River moved these down from the north of Europe during the glacial periods, and that water washed away most of the topsoil. So all you have are round stones everywhere. And that's part of the charm, the magic. The vines are, you know, unwatered. There's plenty of rain here, plenty of wind. You can have incredible weather for moments at a time. You have winds for weeks at a time. Any other questions? Go for it.
5'4". I can cook. I don't say no.
Uh-oh. I don't know what that was, but that wasn't me this time.
And
Um,
yeah, yeah, and isn't it so that those galets, those rocks on the top, they retain the heat during the day and keep it so in the evening when it gets cold, they keep on having that heat to keep the heating of the grapes.
yeah, it's like a little oven in the vineyard. Um, Also, the papal seal on the bottle, they're basically to make Chateauneuf de Pop now, I believe you have to put it in this bottle. And they all use the same bottle. Or they've maybe gotten a workaround because they've made their own bottle and they put their papal seal on it as well. There might be a couple different iterations. I tend to remember like some that had more key, less hat, but I think today they're really going towards like one bottle having a very unified message. And yes, Peter, that those rocks are uh, the one of the warming devices that help in that regard because they do have, a good amount of temperature variation. They're closer to the water in Chateauneuf de Pop. James says here, sweet cherries, dried herbs, bay leaf, baking spices. Dunnick says wild strawberry, cherry fruit, layered mouthfeel, ultrafine tannins. Uh, $70. This is like right in the middle, maybe on the almost the not the lower tier, but this is like you know, I think if I were to buy it today, this would probably be $80 because I bought this before the tariffs came in. So what I've got is what I've got. And this was a really lucky buy because this wine is awesome and deserves to be up there with some of the others. I pay more for others. And I like this one maybe even more. Moving on. Running a little long here. Sorry. We're finishing with Legend. I am a huge fan of Chave. In fact, at my dinner tomorrow night at Providence, another plug, we're drinking 85 Chave with dinner. And at Chave, they make a number of wines. They make a fantastic little Côte de Rhone called Moncoeur, My Heart. This is Farconnet. It is a Hermitage that basically kind of was made because he has his Chave Hermitage, which is the iconic Hermitage. And then this one is made from either fruit that didn't make that blend, maybe because it's younger vines. And that's probably mostly what it is because it's younger vines, replanted fruit, but it's still the great soils. And so he was really kind of perplexed. David Shiverick told me the story a few years ago. I think it was on Zoom, in fact, about how this wine came about because he was making all this Hermitage and then not the stuff he wasn't using, he was bulking out. And they're like, whoa, wait a second, you're doing what? We can make another wine from this and people will still love it. And he's like, yeah, we're growing the fruit. It's his fruit and it's his vineyard, and his vineyards are iconic. So this is Hermitage on a budget from Chave because the Chave Hermitage starts now at about $350 a bottle when it's young, and it goes parabolic about year 6. It's one of the great investment opportunities. You know, a wine guy always thinks their wine's going to be worth more in the future. We may see lower prices in the future. I don't know. But for the past 20 years, you buy these Chave Hermitage young, and in about year 6 or 7, they double. And then they double again when they hit about 10 years old. That's the hill. That's his hill. Very his top Hermitage comes from very old vines.
So Ian, if I remember correct, you can use some Viognier in Hermitage if you want to, right?
Uh Honestly, I don't think so. But I might be schooled here. Let's find out if he does. I don't think he does it. Let's find out.
I I think they can use Marsan or Busan in some of the Hermitage reds, not Viognier.
So this is 100% Syrah on the website. I think that Hermitage has to be 100% Syrah. So let's find out what Google says. Does Hermitage need to be 100% Syrah? No.
I
Red
think they can
Hermitage.
use Marsan and Rusan.
Yep, there it is, buddy. You are right again. Boom.
Yep, good point.
Cornas requires 100%. Good job. I probably knew that at one point in my life, but you don't use it, you lose it, and I've lost that. 15 Marsan and Roussan can be allowed, but this is 100% Syrah. This one here,
Beautiful.
gorgeous. Get you back in. We're at $80. We're tasting the 21. Remember what I said about 21 earlier. 21 is classic. 20, 22, 23, warmer, more opulent, smoky, bacon fat. This is the model of Syrah, Hermitage, maybe Co-Roti, but Co-Roti can be really about that, especially which Co-Roti you're talking about, the Lalas, etc. They all go crazy on price. But here you really smell that beautiful balance benchmark Syrah character. And this is what, when people go to make Syrah, they're typically influenced by this, is like in your brain as to what Syrah could and should taste like. It's got the spice, the melange of spices, the wonderful cherry characteristics. Mm. Amazing nose on the Chav. Yes. In closing, guys, I want to thank you guys for putting up with me tonight. I've been working my butt off. We have Stars of Cabernet at the end of this month, and I've got about 14 days to pull off some pretty difficult things. Also, my team player Joe here in the office, who's worked for me for a couple of years, actually took a vacation. And so I've been in the store by myself with a new hire helping me out. Not making excuses. Probably should have caught that Gingondas there, but worked out pretty well. And I apologize to you if you're not happy. Let me know. But
Yeah, this was great. That was awesome. Thanks for taking us through these wines.
yeah, man, my pleasure. I'm so glad that you could do it with me because you guys made it fun. Sandra, what was your favorite? Six. You like the Hermitage. William, you've been quiet.
A lot of good wines, but I have to say, kind of like you, I've always been a fan of Chateauneuf de Pop. It was probably the first Rhone I ever had, and I just have always kind of loved it, and that one was very nice. So
Awesome. Richard, thank you for your insights. You're the teacher's pet today. You get to
Enjoyed
awesome.
enjoyed the wines a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Love the hat.
isn't it a nice one?
It's a great one.
Well, I can talk Dodgers now. Uh, it took me 3 days to recover from Game 7. The day after, I was like high as a kite. Day 2, I lost my voice. It took me 2 days to finally lose it, but I was screaming and celebrating and stressed out beyond belief. That was that was the most intense baseball game I've ever seen in my life, and the whole series. Um, the fact that they could come back and get it in the ninth, Miggy Rojas will live in infamy, and that it was just an incredible game. So many highlights. Can't wait to watch the game again. Actually, in a few weeks, I've been just loving the moment. Uh, the, to me, last year was great to finally win that, unadulterated season. This win was even better because the competition was fierce, man. Canada came to play. They were a great team, and it was just a couple outs away from being a totally different result. So sorry for Canada's loss, but wow, wow, that's just the best feeling. And I heard today was the most watched baseball game of all time. 34 million people watched it around the world, and that's good for baseball. And I'm so excited for the future of the sport. I think it's gotten better. The rules have improved the game, and we're on a groove. And it's fun to be a Dodger fan. It's going to be fun to be a Giants fan. It's going to be fun to be a Padres fan. California's got some great baseball, and it's going to keep it real.
And
Now,
one day you will have 30 million people on your show again.
I, I don't deserve that, Peter, but that is a really a testament to the Dodgers. I mean, they put 4 million people through that park, all the things that they have done, great stewardship, incredible bank accounts to be able to build all that. I'm gonna be really happy to retire someday. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, the rest of us hope that you're never gonna retire, by the way.
We'll see. Maybe we'll retire to another place where I'm still doing Zooms, and we'll see how it goes. But those are many years away. Thank you guys. Have a great night. I hope that you'll join us next week. We've got the Baja experience coming. You probably got an email about that today. We've got 5 winemakers on the Zoom now next week.
Oh my.
And so there's, I mean, couldn't have more interesting stories to tell, different wines. It is some really good stuff. You'll love it. And there'll be a lot of uh, involvement in the chat. I sucked at the chat tonight. The slideshow was not working too well, but everything's going to be amazing next week. So join us. $19 for members and $26 for friends. So really good deal too. Join us.